Well, the Miami Dolphins mutually parted ways this afternoon with Vic Fangio, and the idea here was to allow Vic Fangio to be closer to his family, which is in Pennsylvania, which also happens to be the home of the Philadelphia Eagles, who also happen to have an opening at the defensive coordinator position. Now, you remember last year, Laura, the Philadelphia Eagles wanted to keep Vic Fangio on their staff and make him the defensive coordinator, but Jonathan Gannon was in place. His position in Arizona as the head coach of the Cardinals came along after the Super Bowl, and by the time he accepted that job, Vic Fangio already had accepted the Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator job. Well, now that the Eagles coordinator job is open, now that his family's there, Miami and Vic mutually parted ways today, freeing Vic to go back up north to be near his family to become the Philadelphia Eagles defensive coordinator.
Hello. Welcome to the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. I took a couple of days off after the season ended. I told you guys I was going to just lay low until, unless something happened, unless there was some, breaking news out there that I wanted to jump into. And I told you, probably one of the only people that you saw, maybe TD, that things were not going to be good. And I said, and I quote, there is nothing positive to discuss right now. And I asked people, go ahead and comment. Tell me what you see as positive. Losing the last 3 games of the season, seeing people wanting to go to free agency. And then the last 24 hours punctuated that with an exclamation point. The wheels have completely fallen off of the Miami Dolphins train. It is literally a dumpster fire right now. And anybody out there telling you otherwise, including the players, are lying to you. And we're going to go over all that tonight. And some of you guys, if you don't want to hear this, if you think it's too negative, if you think I'm toxic, you might want to go ahead and jump off right now, because you're probably going to lose your shit. Because I'm going to lay it out for you as best I can and show you this team is in trouble. This team right now is the Titanic. There's no doubts in my mind. I told you at the end of the season that they looked like they were about to go, go crazy. And now I'm more convinced than ever that the wheels have fallen off of the Miami Dolphins train. There's no denying it at this point. You guys can say everything you want. And you know what? This doesn't even have much to do with Tua. I mean, we could speculate and say things, Tua caused Vic Fangio to say I'm out because he wanted to go get his own players. But that's just pure speculation. And I'm not going to go there tonight because this isn't about Tua. This show, if you guys are worried that I'm going to blame Tua and come after Tua, nope, not going to do it. There's enough shit here to go around where, oh my God, it's incredible. That being said, I'm going to admonish you right now, and I've told you this before as well. I've told you before, and it's very, very, very important. Watch out who you follow and who you listen to. The South Florida media, for the most part, they're in the tank. They're going to go out there and say whatever the Dolphins want to say. They have to. They have press passes. If they don't follow the team guidelines, they're probably not going to get access to the locker room and press conferences. There are Dolphins YouTubers out there who you can see, if you just look, how hypocritical they really are. You just go back and look. Go back when Fangio got hired. Everybody before that, it was the same thing with Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook, can't wait to get him here. It's going to be so great. Man, it's nuts out there. There's one guy who literally 2 days ago said he confirmed, I won't say his name, don't want to embarrass him. You guys probably know who I'm talking about, but he confirmed that Vic Fangio would be back. And then he did a podcast today with, 3 other guys who are out there who kicked the can and are definitely in the tank. And I have to believe after what happened today that it's a little bit embarrassing. I mean, some of these guys, if you have any sense of propriety, it's embarrassing. You're so far in the tank that you just think that this shit is normal. just lying to people, just straight up lying to people. But I'm going to just tell you what I see. And what I see is, as you heard Adam Schefter say, that Vic Fangio has decided to mutually part ways with the Miami Dolphins. Now, understand, this guy is the highest paid coordinator in the NFL. He had a $4 million a year or so contract with the Miami Dolphins. He's living here in paradise, down here in South Florida. And Adam Schefter, and everybody else is quick to say he gave up all of that to go back to Philadelphia, which is 5 degrees right about now, and be the defensive coordinator of the Eagles. But the bottom line with all of this is that the Miami Dolphins are in dumpster fire category at this point. I mean, just absolute dumpster fire. I mean, it's so bad. Let me see if I can find it. This is how bad this was, that Emmanuel Acho, and you guys know Emmanuel Acho is a friend to the Miami Dolphins fan base and everything else. He's always been supportive of Miami, even when he probably shouldn't have been. And I want to show you something that Emmanuel Acho put out there this evening, which I just found quite compelling. This is Emmanuel Acho's tweet. Very succinct. Where'd it go? Dolphins, WTF. You know what that means. Dolphins, what the F did you do? And Eagles, go get that man immediately. Players and media personnel from around the league recognize what kind of talent the Dolphins just let walk out the building. So now we're going to get another coordinator. And I'm going to talk about the players in a second because that pissed me off. But before that, and I got this stuff detailed out, I want to show you some of the stuff that I put out there myself because it's a good script for this video. So this is one I put out after it came out. I said, holy crap, rats off of a sinking ship. The Miami Dolphins are in a state of crisis. Ross needs to step in right away. I truly believe that Stephen Ross, a businessman, at this point needs to step in and say, something is wrong. And if he doesn't, he's going to basically lend credence to my other theory, which I can't really say yet, that he as being the reason why he won't fire Chris Grier. If he doesn't fire Chris Grier now, it's going to give credence to my theory as to why Chris Grier has not been shown the door. I'll give you a little hint. That Brian Flores lawsuit is still floating around out there. That Brian Flores lawsuit, when he accused Stephen Ross of a number of different things, racism, is still floating around out there. All right, I guess I just said it. I don't think Stephen Ross wants to fire another black man while that lawsuit is pending. That's just me. That is complete supposition. I've got nothing to base it on other than the fact that Chris Grier is just ruining this team. Any other owner would have shown this guy the door quite some time ago. And now here you are, basically 2 weeks after your last game, and the fire, a dumpster fire that it is, just keeps getting more wood and more wood and more wood chucked onto this fire. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So then I followed it up here and with this tweet. It said, Vic Fangio out, Tyreek Hill lying about a divorce. Oh, we're going to get to that. Players opting for free agency. Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier are now on flaming hot seats. They are absolutely on flaming hot seats. The Miami Dolphins are a raging dumpster fire, and it's obvious now. If it's not obvious to you, then you're listening to crap. You're watching the fanboys out there doing what they always do. What do I mean by that? Well, here's what I said. I didn't know this was going to happen. I said, mark my words, in the next 24 hours, the usual suspects will kick the propaganda machine into overdrive, telling Miami Dolphins fans that the team needed to do this and that it's good for the future of the team. And they will give a standing ovation to whoever gets hired, and they treat you like trained sheep. I think one of the first or second comments down here is how fast it began. Let me see if here, 24 hours? No, it happened 2 seconds after the news broke. That propaganda machine is all over Twitter right now. People are like, oh, this was for the better. The players didn't like him, which should make no sense whatsoever. And they wanted to do this, and the players wanted to do that, and Fangio wouldn't let them. I played football. I never had a say in what the coach wanted to do. You can just pay this guy $4 million. You get your asses on the field and do what he says and like it. If not, hit the bricks, because you don't run the defense. You are not qualified to run the defense. The inmates do not run the asylum. And today, when all this broke out, I actually saw person after person after person saying, it's not that bad. It's going to be okay. Here are the next, just moved on. They started talking about the next candidates like it was just some easy job to fill, that they're going to have to learn another system basically in a couple months. It's no big deal. What? Are you guys really out there making videos of kicking rocks down the road and posting crap about the coach that just decided to leave or get fired, whatever the terms were? Are you really doing that? Let me ask you a question, and then I'll take a few comments. If you're a player and you're out there talking shit about Vic Fangio and you're letting everybody know, hey, I'm glad he's gone, what do you think the next candidate is going to be doing when he sees, hey man, these guys are out of control. These guys think they run this. These guys are openly talking on social media about what many people thought was a guru of defense. Whether you liked him or not, you're still talking shit about a coach. You understand that? You understand I'm sitting in my office, I'm like, hey man, the Dolphins DC job is open. Let me take a look at it. Maybe I could interview. Hey, let me start looking at what the players think. Oh, these players are all talking shit about Vic Fangio, somebody I respect, somebody the game respects, somebody other coaches in the league respect. If someone with his stature is talked about like that by players, what the hell are they going to say about me? How am I going to get control of this locker room? Mike McDaniel, you've completely lost your locker room. That's why you're on the hot seat. Chris Greer is on the hot seat because of just completely screwing up. Mike McDaniel, you don't own this locker room anymore. There is not a single head coach in the league that would put up with the shit that these players put out there today. It just shouldn't happen. Mike McDaniel should get on the phone and call every single one of those guys and say, delete that shit now. Before I even talk to you ever again, delete that shit right now. You just disrespected a man who many in the league find in high regard. And you did it within minutes. Regardless of how you feel, you don't put your dirty laundry about the team out there. Especially when you're going to have a new coach and he's going to have to tell you what he wants to do. You're not going to instill the defense. The new coach is going to instill the defense. Dumpster fire. Absolute dumpster fire. I am ashamed at some of these Miami Dolphins players. I'm even more ashamed at some of these Miami Dolphins fans out there and what they're saying right now. It's pathetic. It's embarrassing. It's disgusting. I can't use any more superlatives other than to say these people are friggin' nuts. And notice, I'm not saying anything about Tua because that's going to come. I mean, if you want to do some conjecture, we can say, okay, end of year meeting. So what do you think, Vic? Well, hey, listen, I understand Jalen Phillips is still recovering from his Achilles tear. I understand that Bradley Chubb is still recovering from his ACL. So we're going to need a couple edge rushers, and it can't be these body bags that you brought in from Walmart against Kansas City. So we're going to have to spend some money and get some quality. That ain't happening. But what do you mean? Well, you're going to have to make do with whatever you can do. Chris, I can't run a defense with these kind of guys here. I don't even know when ABG is going to be back. So you're telling me just figure out a way you're going to get some, what are you spending the money on? Oh no, don't tell me you're doing that. Are you seriously doing that? Are you really thinking about doing what I think you're doing, Chris. Very short meeting. But that's conjecture. That's just me talking. But if they do it, you're gonna know. I think that's the next body to drop, is if all of a sudden you see in the news, Tua Tagovailoa has been signed for $45 million a year and $150 million guaranteed. Oh, can you even imagine? Can you even imagine?